The Fox Texas trio is back to discuss that interview with State Senator Roland Gutierrez. He represents Uvalde. Greg, will any real reform happen when Texas lawmakers come back?
Stephen, I just don't see it happening. Not with a deeply Republican majority at the ledge, which doesn't see access to weaponry as the root cause of mass shootings. Now, that said, that reluctance to reform is clearly a minority viewpoint in the Lone Star State. I mean, this week, a fresh Hobby School Texas Southern poll found 71% of Texans favored raising the legal age of assault rifle purchase to 21. And significantly, 74% rather of Republican women support the move. Other modest actions like red flag laws and mandatory background checks also drew overwhelming support in the survey, which leaves us with the question, are Republicans in Austin simply refusing to act on the will of the people?
And bouncing off of that, Rudy, you recently talked to Senator John Cornyn last week. He broke with the majority of the Republican Party from a national perspective and signed on to some bipartisan reforms. Now, it wasn't raising the age, but do you think there is a Republican in Austin or Republicans in Austin that could break ranks and join Senator Gutierrez?
You know, Stephen, anything is possible in the world of politics, even at this divisive time that we're in. But if there's any kind of movement, I think that's going to be seen, it will be on the House side. It's going to be a lot more difficult to see Republicans on the Senate side making any kind of movement saying that they're going to do it. And if they do it, it cannot be, and it will not be, in my opinion, a one-shot bill that just deals with the age limit. It has to be, I think, part of a package and something that the Republicans want. And what do they want? They want more school resource officers in those schools. They want more surveillance capabilities, looking at websites and things like that. And they want more mental health individuals services in those schools. So I think it's got to be a package deal, or there's no deal whatsoever. But definitely, it's not going to happen in a special session.
Greg, Governor Abbott says that his hands are tied. Are they really tied?
Stephen, they may not be tied by the courts, but they are certainly bound to a large degree by the National Rifle Association and the ultra-conservative wing of his party. It looks to me that there's a hard political calculation here. Abbott believes he's got more to lose by supporting gun control than he has to gain, both in this election and potentially down the road. I mean, it's a gamble, but a calculated one.
Rudy, do you agree?
Well, I don't agree with the senator in his assertion that the court action is just, you know, a whimsical type thing and it's not going to stick. I think it could stick. Now, remember, California's law, age restriction, was struck down before the Texas courts acted. So there's still a long process that goes and has to happen. But here's the core thing in this whole thing. Between 2018 and this year, 6 of the 9 deadliest mass shootings in the United States were committed by people 21 or younger. So that's a case for the age limit. But from 2018 to 1949, there were 30 mass shootings and only 2 involved a gunman younger than 21. Most are being committed by individuals who are in their mid-20s and their 30s and 40s, and that's part of the argument against the age restriction. While people say something needs to be done, the situation is that doing the age restriction, will that really solve it? Can that one thing do it? I say no. I think it's got to be a package deal.
While Governor Greg Abbott's lead is slowly growing in recent polls that have been coming out in recent weeks, Greg, do you think him not calling back state lawmakers will hurt him at all in November?
Stephen, based on what I can see, not badly enough to change his mind. This week's Dallas Morning News poll has the governor up 9 with just 43 days to go. And I hear there's other polling which confirms that lead. Now, that said, anything can happen. For instance, and God forbid, what if we suffer another attack?
And Rudy, I mean, you know, Beto O'Rourke has been talking about abortion. Governor Abbott has been talking about the border. Is the gun issue getting lost in all of this?
No, I think the gun issue is taking traction. I think that there is a little bit of fatigue going on with the abortion issue, and I think that people are listening more and thinking more about this gun issue and what should be done. Will it be done in a special session? As I said a moment ago, I don't think so, especially during an election year. I just don't think it could happen during an election year. Depending on what happens after November, then we can start thinking about it, maybe a quick special session on something. But I think that this whole debate, whether it is abortion, whether it's gun reform, it's going to have to wait, and it's going to wait until sometime in January.
Well, to see this interview with State Senator Roland Gutierrez and any of our discussions, you can head to our station's YouTube channels.
And the conversation continues as we push forward topics on our social media sites like Twitter and TikTok.
And join us next week as Texas the Issue Is goes one-on-one with Congressman Dan Crenshaw about the enormous surge of undocumented immigrants crossing on our southern border. We'll see you next week, and be sure and tell us what the issue is.